I met the devotees in 1975, joined in 1976. So I was a new devotee living at the temple and still getting used to all the devotee ways. And then all of a sudden, Prabhupada's coming, Prabhupada's coming. The buzz went round the temple. So we got very excited, you know, in the build-up. I was there in the ladies' Sankirtan party at the time. So I was one of the privileged ones that could go to the airport to see Prabhupada come in. So we dashed off, got to the airport, and we were waiting in the airport lounge for Prabhupada to come. So there was probably about 20 or so devotees, 20, 25. And there was such an ecstatic kirtan because we were all very much eager to see Srila Prabhupada. I'd read Prabhupada's books just a year before and had been convinced straight away that this is something really special, something I'd been looking for. And now here I was going to meet my spiritual master. So, you know, the excitement was really building up. Very ecstatic kirtan. We weren't really aware of anything else going on in the airport. We were just, eyes were fixed on the place where Prabhupada was going to come through. And then all of a sudden he was there, this wonderful glowing personality flanked by these great big American devotees and glided through. So as soon as we saw him, you know, it fell flat on the floor. But we didn't want to stay there too long because we didn't want to take our gaze off him. And we watched him as he glided by and was whisked away in a car, you know. So off we went. We followed after. We rushed to our van, got in the van, and then drove back as fast as we could to the temple. Want to see Prabhupada again, you know. It was very strong emotions were there at the time. I think we all, tears in the eyes. It was wonderful. So we drove back to the manor as quick as we could, but of course we were later back than Prabhupada, so we were right, we snuck in the back Prabhupada's rooms. I don't know if many of you will have been there to Prabhupada's rooms, beautiful Srila Prabhupada's rooms at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. And so sneaked in at the back and just sat down quietly in the corner because Prabhupada was already sitting there behind his low desk, looking around the room, smiling at everyone, speaking. To be quite honest, I can't even remember what he said now. It was just being in the presence that was so important. One thing I remember about that time quite strongly was they brought Srila Prabhupada in a plate, a large platter of fruits and sweets. So Srila Prabhupada sat there at his desk, looked over the sweets, very, always very elegant. So he picked up a piece of apple and proceeded to eat the apple, chewing like that. Then all of a sudden he started spitting out onto the floor. He just spat onto the floor, you know, the peel from the apple. I was quite shocked really, because I was a new devotee at that time. Anyone coming from England, you know, we're very polite, and you just wouldn't do that in a company of people around you like that. On reflection afterwards, what I saw that was Srila Prabhupada was so self-assured, so confident, so authentic. He wasn't trying to impress anybody. He wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. He was who he was. He was grounded, he was centered, and that's what you did. I mean, actually, there was a sheet on the carpet, so after the program, this would be taken up and thrown away anyway. So actually, it was okay. But at the time, I was very shocked. How could he do that? You know. So that was one of the first memories of Srila Prabhupada, being with him at that time. I'd like to actually just tell one or two short little stories about Mohan Prabhu. He was one of the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada. He joined in 72, and he was at the manor, Bhaktivedanta Manor, when they first acquired the manor from George Harrison. So when Srila Prabhupada he told me a couple of little stories I'd just like to say. He passed away last year in 2017, having had a brain tumour. so he didn't really get a chance to tell his story. So Srila Prabhupada was visiting one time, and they called him to Prabhupada's rooms to fix his lock on his case. So Srila Prabhupada was in the rooms at the time, and he was walking up and down very gravely chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And so the mood that we all had, or many of us had, was great awe and reverence when we went to in the presence of Srila Prabhupada. We felt very small. So he also knocked on the door, opened the door. Prabhupada said, come in. He went in. Come to fix your lock, Srila Prabhupada, sort of mood, And he just, no words, he just nodded with his head and showed him the case. So Mohan is fixing the case. And then Srila Prabhupada spoke to him. I think it's the only time he actually spoke to him, so it was very special for him. Prabhupada said, oh, you are carpenter? And he was just so surprised that Srila Prabhupada should speak to him. He felt very lowly. He was a very humble devotee. And he said, no, Srila Prabhupada, and carried on fixing. Prabhupada just carried on walking up and down, chanting his rounds like that. So afterwards, when he told the story, he would say how he felt that Prabhupada was very, like a father. He had that, that feeling like a father, a very kind father, encouraging, forgiving for all our foolishness and all the silly mistakes that we make and our tongue-tiedness. And so when I think about Srila Prabhupada, it's the great compassion and love that he exhibited for all of us in so many ways. I also admire him for his self-assurance that he always displayed in every situation. This was always like something, wow, this man, this is someone you could trust. This is someone who knew what he wanted, where he was going, and that great faith that he had in Krishna. Krishna was real for him, and because we believed in him, then Krishna became real for us too. Hare Krishna.